Hey y'all, Myria Com here again. Thanks for being here to listen to me ramble about stuff. It is very bright outside and also very warm outside. And I am trying to do a recording kind of quick here before I go for an after work walk because it is like 97 degrees was what my car last said when I got out of it after getting home from work. So, warm. A little warm. If I go for a walk, I assume I'm gonna get warm, so. And sweaty and gross. I should have done a walk at work in the skyways and stuff where I could stay in the air conditioning, but here we are. I am still sort of recovering from the convention over the weekend. 4 days. I guess it was closer to 3.5 days of just like being around people, and I am an introvert. So even though they were all, like, I shouldn't say all, even though a lot of them are also introverts and are awkward nerds and all of that, it's still a lot of being around people. At the same time, I was getting ready for work this morning, and I just had the thought of, this sucks. I would rather be at convention. I would rather spend the rest of my life at convention doing convention stuff. Being around people all the time, yeah, but doing convention stuff. And that is... It's interesting, because normally I'm kind of happy convention is over, because I'm like, okay, I can, recuperate, recover from all of the being around people and all of that. But this year, I have very much been like, no, I would rather be doing this. And I'm not gonna say that, like, it would suck to be doing that all the time, to just be being around people all the time. But it's also making me wonder if, like, I don't know, maybe I should consider applying for jobs that are more people-oriented. I have not done a lot of that in the past because I am an introvert. Being around people is hard and tiring. But also like it's also like hard for me to remember people's names, for example. I just look at some of the people I do work with and some of the people I support whose jobs are very like people oriented, and they do a lot of networking and that sort of thing. And I listen to them talk about, like, oh yeah, this I know that person from that town who's on that committee or whatever. And I'm just like, how do you remember all of this crap all the time? I can't keep that straight in my head. I'd have to, like, check notes constantly all the time. And I would, like, see someone who I recognize and be like, I know you, but I don't remember from where, and that sort of thing. Like, randomly today, someone was like, oh, I know people who are involved in the conventions around town, and I was like, oh, like which people? And they mentioned one person, and I was like, I recognize that name, but I feel like I know that name from outside of conventions too. Couldn't tell you from where, but I know that person from conventions. I just think I know them from somewhere else too. I don't know. But, like, and it makes me feel inadequate a lot of times because I know that is a skill I don't have, but it's a skill a lot of people have. Like, knowing people and being able to interact with people just comes more naturally to a lot of other people than it does to me. And I feel like it would be a struggle every day if that was my job. Job would be like being in contact with people. At the same time, you never get better at something until you try and until you practice, right? So maybe it's something I should work on more. I don't know. And it is another thing where I'm like, it would be nice if people knew me. I don't really need that in life. I am a hermit. I am fine with, like, you know, I'm an introvert, and I don't feel like I'm important enough for anyone to need to know me. But I have one of the things I did at this convention, sort of coming back around. One of the things I did at this convention is during, like, the people just hanging out in party rooms kind of time, in the evenings each day, I was like, trying to be better about learning the names of people I see at, like, every con that happens in town. and that sort of thing. Like, hey, let's actually, like, introduce ourselves. I see you at every con, but I don't actually know who you are. Let's, like, actually meet each other the proper way, or whatever. Whatever the proper way of meeting people is. And so that's something I've kind of decided I'm going to try and work on a little bit more, and I don't know why, but it's just a thing. Um, but yeah, maybe that is something I am, like, wanting more, I guess. I don't know. I think as I'm getting older, I'm realizing more, like, how important it is for people to have connections, and I've always hated, like, networking, for example, that I'm not good at it. I don't. I've always hated the fact that it is something you, like, kind of have to do to move up in jobs and stuff like that. And it's never. Moving up and, like, getting to the top is not. And never has been my goal, really. Uh, Mostly because in corporate America, for example, I know that moving up and getting to the top legitimately requires you to step on other people and, like, screw over other people. In corporate America, at least. If you want to move up, especially in bigger companies, you have to use people. You have to care about yourself more than anyone else. And I can't do that. I'm not capable of doing that. But, like, so I've always, like, hated the idea of networking. I've always hated the idea that, like, you have to know people to get somewhere in life. And I think as I've been trying to, like, move away from the idea of, like, the capitalist bullshit we've all been raised with and all of that, as I try and get away from that and think about life and society and things like that without that lens, the more I realize, like, yeah, like, community is important and being connected to people is important. And I have, like, not only have I never really liked networking, but I was working overnights for so long that it was just like, literally, it doesn't matter because I don't see anyone anyway. So it doesn't matter if I try and connect with people. I am on a literal opposite schedule to, like, 95% of society. So it doesn't matter. Well, now I'm not on overnights anymore, and it kind of does matter if I know people, and if I do want to get a better job, which I do, I need to know people. Like, I got an interview for a job recently because I knew people. I didn't get the job, so it only sort of helped. But, like, I got that interview because I knew people. It wasn't because, I mean, I probably would have gotten one anyway. But knowing people helped. And, yeah. My problem is, that always feels like cheating. I was raised to believe that meritocracy is a real thing. People who talk about meritocracy are lying in claiming that that's what they want, because that's not what they want. If we actually had a meritocracy and what you do mattered more than everything else, then knowing people would not get you places. Because what you do would matter more. Your actual work would matter more. And I was raised to believe that that's how it works, is, like, do good work, and that's all that matters, and that will get you ahead in life. Doing good work is going to get you where you need to go. Having the best quality work you can possibly have is the most important thing. Knowing people doesn't matter. Your work will speak for itself, and that's what matters. And that's a lie. It matters, but it's not the only thing that matters, and it doesn't matter more than knowing people. Knowing people matters a lot more. So anyway, because that's how I was raised, I grew up with and, like, have lived most of my life feeling like knowing people to get places is cheating. And I still kind of do think it is, because I do think the kind of work you do and the quality of work you do, in my opinion, is the most important thing. whether or not you know people should not be the thing that gets you across the finish line, but that is practically how it works. That is how it actually does work in a lot of society. So, I don't know. I'm realizing I should probably care about that more, and I should probably work on that more. And even if I can't get that to work in my career, maybe I can get that to work in other aspects of my life. I don't know. It's something I'm like thinking about more, and I am like kind of trying to approach the conventions in town more that way lately. So that's like my goal this year is actually talk to people and talk to people outside of like my little tiny bubble of people I know. Like actually talk to more people. One of the guests at the convention I was just at is actually someone I did a year of a PhD program with. I don't know if he actually remembers who I am, because I don't think I actually said who I was now that I'm thinking about it. I don't know. Anyway, maybe he remembers me. Who knows? But anyway, like, I did talk to him a little bit. I'm already getting hot. I really need to turn my air conditioning on, but I don't want to try and do that while I'm recording. Um, anyway, like, I talked to him and I went to a couple of his panels and I bought his books. Okay, it wasn't just about buying his books. I'm really interested to read them. They sound really interesting. Maybe I'll talk about them in another recording, not in this one. But anyway, yeah, like, I just did a lot more. I shouldn't say a lot more. I mean, a lot more relatively speaking, but that doesn't mean a whole lot if you don't know me. I did more of like talking to people and trying to be a bit more personable and less just like doing my own thing at con this year. So I think it went pretty well. We'll see. If any, like, the next convention is at the end of September, and when I say the next convention, I mean the next convention in town that I typically go to that has a lot of the same people. So that's at the end of September, and I will probably go to that. I have to figure out if I can afford it. I have to budget for that and all of that, so I'm gonna work on that, but there's a few months, there's time. I kind of want to cosplay too, but I don't have any good cosplays right now. So, gotta think about that a bit. I don't know if I have the money and or time and or energy to make one. So, we'll have to see. But it's something I would like to do. And my problem is I usually do like really obscure cosplays, so no one recognizes what I'm doing. So no, like, I don't get the attention from it. Again, not that I care about getting attention necessarily. It is kind of a bummer when you spend a lot of time on a cosplay or a lot of money or whatever, and then like no one recognizes what you are or no one says anything about it. So I gotta figure out if it's worth doing it. I was thinking the other day, there is one I would kind of like to do, but again, it would be kind of obscure, so I don't know, I have to think about it. Anyway, getting back to the whole thing. I am trying to be more personable and talk to people more and network more, and I don't like it. One of the guests had a panel about, like, it was sort of, kind of about mental health, but he, like, put his own spin on it, where he's like, I'm gonna talk about ways to, like, try and be less anxious about stuff in life and all of that. And here are the 4 steps. And the first step is set a goal. The second step is work towards the goal intelligently. And the third step is accept the results, whatever they happen to be. And the fourth step is start over at step 1 and set a new goal. So, like, one of the things that we were talking about is, like, how do you apply that to getting a new job or a better job or whatever? And one of the things that came up during that was networking. And I'm like, yeah, you're a voice actor. Networking is important. Is it important for everyone else? Unfortunately, yes, it is. And it's a thing I am coming to terms with more and more. It does matter if you have a network. And it just sucks that I have spent most of my life wishing it didn't matter, and so pretending it didn't. But it really does, and I am trying to work on that more. I'm not saying that this, like, isn't helping, but it's because I'm not telling anyone in my real life that I'm doing this, so it's a whole thing. But yeah. Anyway, I should share my convention haul of stuff I bought. I spent too much money, but I also, not all of it was like on stuff. I spent a lot like tipping party rooms. I spent a lot tipping when I went out, like got food and stuff like that. And I budgeted for it, so I had the money. I just feel like I spent technically less than I budgeted, but it felt like a lot. I budgeted for it though. It's fine. It's just I had a couple other things come up after, like, or right around con, where I was like, I already had this money budgeted out, and I had a couple things come up kind of out of the blue, and that sucked. Because, you know, I can afford it. It's all fine, but it feels like I'm a little stressed and tight right now. So I get paid on Friday though, so it should be fine. But anyway, but yeah, trying to work on networking more, trying to work on getting myself out there more. I guess this is kind of helping because it's helping me like be more comfortable with getting myself out there, even if barely anyone is paying attention to my videos. But that's fine. Like, again, I'm not doing this to become famous. I'm not doing this to make money. It's just to work on myself. And it is helping in a lot of ways. That's why I'm still doing it. I wouldn't keep doing it if it wasn't helping in some way. If it was a waste of time, I wouldn't keep doing it. So, yeah. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. Any of you who are here and who are listening, I really do appreciate that. Even if you're just here randomly because it looked interesting or sounded interesting. Thanks. I appreciate it. I don't think I look very interesting, but whatever. I also see myself every day in the mirror, so, you know, I wouldn't think I look interesting, would I? Yeah. Anyway. Thanks for being here to listen to me ramble about stuff, and I'll try and be a little bit more focused in the next couple of recordings. I'm going to try and do one every day this week. I might not get one tomorrow. It kind of depends. I don't know for sure what I'm doing with my sister and brother-in-law. We usually do stuff on Wednesdays, but we were watching The Boys, and that's over now, so I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. But it's also supposed to be really, really hot here all week. Like I said, it's in the 90s today. And if I have to have my air on, it's hard to do a recording. So, it's just a thing. But I will try. I'll do my best. And like always, if there's something specific you'd like me to talk about, if there's something I mentioned that sounds cool that you want to hear more about, let me know. Leave a like if you liked any of this. You can dislike it if you didn't like it. I appreciate any feedback. So, yeah. Appreciate you being here. Thanks. And this has been my Riacom rambling about networking for some weird reason that I don't understand. And I'll try and chat at you again soon. Bye.